I know what keeps you going, because I've seen it on social media too, is your love for Taylor Swift. I know. I had to bring it up because just look at your reaction. I mean, if you're watching on YouTube, look at your reaction. I mean, I love the old, I'll be honest, I love the old Taylor Swift. Like, give me the dark jeans, Nike, dive bar, East Side, where you at? That's
Yeah.
my kind of
Okay.
Taylor Swift. But
That's not even old Taylor Swift,
yeah,
though, is
but
it?
I
That's
don't know.
like,
I can't buy in to the new Taylor Swift. So you have to sell me here. I just want to have you sell me real quick.
well, but what is the, because you're talking about Reputation. So you quoted a Reputation lyric
Yeah.
right there, and that's not even old Taylor Swift.
Another great week, another great conversation on Cousins Conversations. We have Fox 18 sports director Courtney Mims. We're heading in to SEC country, especially Arkansas. Courtney, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's so great to be on the show with you, Nick.
Yeah, you too. And like we've been friends, we've talked, like, but we never actually like had a conversation in person. And we both said we're gonna count this as like a first encounter with each other. So that's good.
It's face to face,
Yes.
right? It makes sense.
All right, well, let's make it a good first encounter. The big news with you is that that's a new title for you as a sports director in Little Rock, Arkansas. How is that new job going for you so far?
Yeah, it's been great here so far. I mean, obviously, when you live in Arkansas, the state feels a lot smaller than it is, if that makes sense. So, I feel like Little Rock is very close, even though it's 2.5 hours from Fayetteville. I feel like it's very close. I went to Little Rock all the time when I was up in Fayetteville, and I know that. Since I've been in Little Rock, I go to Fayetteville a lot for Arkansas stuff. So it's not really that much different. What's cooler about the Little Rock market is in Fayetteville, all you have is the Razorbacks, right? And so here in Little Rock, you have quite a bit more when it comes to sports coverage, because you also have the Little Rock Trojans, who, if people don't know, they need to book that right now. Little Rock Trojans, men's basketball, very, very good. And if you see them show up in your bracket, just pointing that out, I would pick them. So just
There you go.
pointing that out for everybody, right? I know we're not into basketball season just yet, but just keep it in the back of your mind. But you also have, when you talk about other, big programs, Arkansas State is in Jonesboro, which is not too far here from Little Rock, about 2 hour drive or so, maybe a little bit less if you drive a little faster. But Jonesboro, that's where Arkansas State is. You have UCA, which is in Conway. You have UAPB in Pine Bluffs. So you have a lot of other things to talk about, I guess, other than the Razorbacks. So I think that's a really cool thing. And that's why I really, really enjoy this position, just because I get to talk a little bit more about what the entire state has going on, which is cool.
That is cool. And we cover Iowa and Iowa State here, and Iowa State did go to Jonesboro and play Arkansas State. That was kind of like that weird, like one-off, like they played last year and I was playing again this year. And Arkansas State gave Iowa State a run for its money right there.
Yeah, well, the referees had a handle on that as well. I'm really sorry, but I have never seen some egregious calls as I did in that game. And so no offense to Iowa State fans. You guys came to Jonesboro, played very, very well. Not discrediting that. I'm just saying the referee, like, that Arkansas State should have won that game. And if you don't believe me, listen to John Gruden, because he got on a podcast and said, did y'all watch Arkansas State? Because, oh my goodness, they should have won that game. The referees were absolutely, what were they thinking? And some of that. So I feel kind of bad for Arkansas State. Going to stand up for them on this pod. Maybe Iowa State fans are going to get mad at me over that.
No, Iowa State fans would tell you, because this is what they were all saying after the game, is like, since they started the season in Dublin, Ireland, didn't have a bye week, so they came back from Ireland, and then they played 4 straight games, and that was the 4th straight game. And it was just like an odd off week before the bye week, because I guess they stayed in Memphis and then they drove the day of the game. So that's just like a lot of craziness going on. But I guess you can't make excuses, though.
No, you definitely can't. And the other thing is, I get it. Like, they've had a weird schedule. It's like, it's weird to think about that they started the season in Ireland and then they went to Jonesboro, Arkansas. Like, that's just very strange to say, oh wait, they did both of those things in the same season. But I think it was a great opportunity as well, though, for um, Arkansas State fans to get to experience a big time game like that in Jonesboro. It doesn't happen often when you get to host ranked opponents there. And so I think for the fan base and for all of the hoopla that was around the game, that was really exciting for them. But, Iowa State fans, like, Arkansas State's not a bad team. They have 70 new players on their roster, 70. That's insane to me.
Crazy,
I mean, that's
yeah.
that's the world we live in with college athletics, but 70 new players. And so Butch Jones, who's the head coach over at Arkansas State, I mean, everyone's like, wait a second, Butch Jones is the coach there? I'm like, yes, that is who's coaching that team. And so he was talking to me, and he was kind of saying, Courtney, I don't think people understand. We have a great team. We do. What we don't have right now is guys who understand the level of effort, what we expect from them, the culture here, because you kind of treat these athletes now who hit the transfer portal and go somewhere else as kind of like nomads. They don't really have a home, and they don't really, it's not a complete and utter buy-in to what you're doing there. You have to stay somewhere to really buy in to the culture, to what they're doing there. And so that's what's interesting, I guess, about Arkansas State, is that they are a good team, and that you've seen that throughout the season. Their record does not show how good of a team they are. I think last week you saw that when they beat Texas State, a team that was favored by 14 going into that game. And Arkansas State goes and beats them by 1 point. It was the final minute of the game. Jalen Raynor just went off, completing his final 20 passes, 5 straight in the final minute of the game, and then punches it in from 4 yards out. The extra point was good. It was just like mayhem in Jonesboro. And that's the kind of effort, and that's the kind of talent that team has. So, I think it's just very interesting this year. Not to get on an Arkansas State tangent, because that's not why we're here, I don't think. But people are like, wait, I was here to listen to Arkansas stuff. And I'm like, oh, Arkansas State, let's talk about the Red Wolves, let's have some fun.
Hey, maybe we can bring some Arkansas State fans to the pod, it's all good.
I love their fan base. I've met so many in their fan base, and I'm like, man, y'all need to show up. Come on. Y'all are fun. Like, let's get this atmosphere going. Let's get some tailgates in Jonesboro going. Come on.
Arkansas State seems like the fun team, but maybe not the so fun team, or the chaotic team is definitely like what you were saying. People want to hear is the Razorbacks right now, with Sam Pittman getting fired. That's 2 weeks ago now. How has that transition been into bringing back Bobby Petrino, who Arkansas State fans seem to love, or Arkansas State fans seem to love? Yeah.
Yeah, Arkansas fans definitely love Bobby. They now it's kind of interesting, because you have some of the fan base who doesn't really love him. You have definitely a lot of the fan base that are like, okay, willing to give you a second chance. Come on back, see what you can do. You definitely have a section of the fan base that goes, why? Why are we bringing him? Why? Because do we not remember the national scandal with Arkansas? I know everybody who's watching this knows the neck brace photo of Bobby Petrino. I mean, it's literally memed.
That's an historic moment right there.
It was a historic moment in college football for nationally.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, even my friends, because I grew up overseas in England, and even my friends overseas know that photo. They don't know why they know that photo, but they know that photo. They're like, oh yeah, that guy. And I'm like, how do you guys know that photo? That's insane. But I digress. There are some of the fan base that go, do we not remember the motorcycle scandal? Do we not remember why he was fired? Why are we bringing him back? And so I think it was the obvious choice for them to make him interim head coach, because why? Your defense was god awful. You're not going to make Travis Williams the interim head coach, and Bobby's done it before, right? And so then your other option is to make Scott Fountain the the special teams coordinator. You're not going to make him the interim. Well, I guess you could, but again, not the same experience as a guy who's led the Razorbacks before and had success leading the Razorbacks. So it's like, okay, this is your obvious choice. Now, it's just been interesting because Bobby's already made changes. Bobby's already done things that he feels like is going to put this team in the best position to win the next 7 games, right? There were some issues in the team over some of those decisions, like firing. We knew Travis Williams was going to be fired. We knew it. He was gone. So Travis Williams gets fired, the defensive coordinator. Then you go ahead and then you fire the co-defensive coordinator, Marcus Woodson. Oh, okay, yeah, he's co-defensive coordinator. Okay, and then you go and fire the defensive line coach, Deke Adams. So then you have one coach left, who's your secondary coach, and the only reason why I feel like Nick Perry didn't get fired because he was just hired on. He was literally just hired on. So I'm like, I feel like you haven't given this guy enough time to actually mess with things. So he's already done all those things. You had a bunch of defensive players posting thumbs down on social media. They were not happy. Bobby is now tasked with a monumental task because he now has to pick up the pieces. He now has to figure out how to get these players to play for him over the next 7 games. And I'll be honest with you, it's not going to be easy because there's so much brokenness right now. And that's what a good head coach will do. So we'll see what he can do. It's not going to be easy, but if he really is the person to lead this program, if he really wants to prove to Hunter Yurchek he should get the job, then by all means, you've got to do that.
That just sounds like craziness. Like this coach is staying, this coach not staying. It's just crazy times right now. Yeah, but you mentioned that like just with the interim head coach and it's Bobby Petrino, so there's some history there. Do you see anything going on there? Like, do you see that it has to play out the way it plays out, have success to close this year for him to have a chance, or do you think there's somebody else who could come in and do a better job?
To be fair, I think right now I wouldn't go with Bobby personally. And I know for a fact my sources have said he's not the leading candidate. He's just not right now. And you can say whatever reason you want to say for that. I think some of it has to do with the fact that you did leave this program in a not so great way.
Yeah.
And how much trust do you have to give to him that he is a reformed man? He's learned from his mistakes. I mean, you've also got to think about how that's perceived to other people because there's already people, talking about if Bobby takes over, how much of a retread that is for Arkansas and how embarrassing that is that you had to go back to a guy that you fired for what was making national headlines. It was while it was a scandal here in the program, it was making national headlines and it was
and people in England knew. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like this was embarrassing. And so to go back to that, I feel like there's a little bit of pride in it that it's like, no, we don't need to go back to that. You are fine to Band-Aid this right now, Bobby, but I don't know about you taking over long term. And then the other thing you have to think of is he was on record saying when he was hired as offensive coordinator, people were asking him, oh, like how do you like being an offensive coordinator versus a head coach? And he's like, well, I like it a lot. I just get to coach. I don't have to deal with all the other stuff. I just get to coach. And that to me is where I feel the best and do the best work. Well, if that's what you're saying, Bobby, if you feel like because you don't have to deal with the other stuff, well, as a head coach, you got to deal with the other stuff. And how are you going to be dealing with the other stuff in an age of NIL and the transfer portal? Whereas when you were a coach before, not as crazy as it is right now. And so I think that's all that goes into it. So for me, and I've been on the record saying this, we've heard a lot of names. The ones that I've heard quite frequently it goes as follows in the list that I've heard is Rhett Lashley. It seems like the university wants to target him, whether the fan base wants him or not. I know there's some split on how they feel about Rhett Lashley, who's the SMU head football coach. And the reason why I think a lot of people want him, because there's a lot of people out there that are like, maybe Arkansas could do a little bit better than Rhett Lashley. I think a lot of people are excited about the fact of maybe having somebody with Arkansas ties to lead that program, to understand what it means to be a Razorback, to understand what it means to wear the Razorback across your chest and to have that. And we've seen that at other programs where you bring an alum back and they understand what it means to be a part of that program. And so I think that's a reason why he's a Springdale, Arkansas native. Which is literally, if you don't know any Arkansas geography, I'll explain it to you. In Northwest Arkansas, University is here. Springdale is literally like right there next to, it's just a town outside of the university, so to speak. So it's a stone's throw away. I used to drive to Springdale. I was there in 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes from Fayetteville. So very close to the University of Arkansas. And he also played quarterback at Arkansas as well. And so that's another thing. Okay, you've got a guy who is from the area, knows the NWA area really well, knows people in the area, is very well connected, and he's played football at the University of Arkansas, and he is an alum, and he is a former Hog. And so I think people get excited about that. And not to mention, I know SMU has had its struggles this year, but I mean, he did lead the team to back-to-back 11-win seasons. And in their first year in the ACC, they got to a college football playoff appearance. So
something to say about that, for sure. Yeah,
there is something to say about that. So I will say that. I understand how people feel about them this year, but there's something to say about that. So there's Rhett, right? I'm not saying he's a viable option. I'm just saying he's one we've heard that they're definitely going to target. Now, the question is, will they have enough finances and money to get him? We can get into that. The other name I've heard, he's going to show up in every single coaching search. I don't care who you are. John Summerall, Tulane's head football coach. The reason being what he's done at Tulane and how he's got the green wave rolling, very impressive. What he did at Troy, also very impressive. And so that's a guy who's shown that he can go to two programs and look at what he's able to do. It's not just, hey, he's done this at one program as the head coach. He's now taken two programs and completely turned them around and done impressive things with them. So it's like, okay, this is a guy who we should look at. He's going to be looked at by everyone, though. So, you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt, that look, if another job opens, if the Florida job opens, maybe Kentucky job opens, right? He's got ties to Kentucky. So are you going to get him realistically? Who knows? The other guy we've heard is this one is interesting to me because of how the fan base feels about him. But Dan Mullen over at UNLV. Yeah.
Oh,
he has got the UNLV rolling right now. 5-0, for the first time, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty positive. I read a stat that it's the first time this team has been 5-0 since 1973.
Yeah, I can't imagine it's been anytime soon. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I mean, and I know they've had success under like Barry Odom when he was there, like before he took the Purdue job. I know he did, he won games with them too. He had them, but not this level of like, 5-0. Okay, that's pretty impressive. Dan Mullen is a guy who consistently does more with less. He's proven that at every single stop. Mississippi State, what he was able to do there is nothing short of incredible. And so then he gets the Florida job. And I get it. People want to say all of these, he can't recruit. His worst recruiting class at Florida, I believe, was ranked 14th. 14th.
Yeah. That's
like,
why
are we stressing about? I don't understand that. I don't understand that. To me, that's just one that I can't comprehend that you guys are mad about that recruiting class. So, and says he can't recruit. He goes over to UNLV, and I know this for a fact. UNLV does not have the resources that they wish they had. They've talked about that in multiple press conferences. They've talked about drumming up the resources. And so this is a guy who's been able to take over that program 5-0, and he's continually doing more with less. And so it's like, he would be a good option. I get where the fan base is coming from. He was fired from Florida. I think that's a nuanced situation where he got some people mad and they were just ready at the first sign of things going south. They were like, get rid of him. Done. Out. Like, we're not gonna deal with that. But this is a guy who's proven he can win in the SEC. And I think that's really, really important when you're talking about why did things go wrong with Sam Pittman? He was never a head coach. That was one of the first things I said. And I get it. Sometimes guys are gonna, they have to get an opportunity somewhere. But I think for the first time you're ever a head coach, for it to be an SEC program is a little scary. It's a little scary to me.
Expectations are up here.
I would want someone with head coaching experience before taking a risk on somebody, even if it's in the Sun Belt, even if it's in the Mountain West, wherever it is. At least you're a head coach, It's like, at least you're a head coach and not a assistant coach or an offensive line coach. So I think that's where they went a little wrong with Sam. I love Sam. I'll be the first one on the record to say one of the best coaches I've ever covered, ever, seriously. But I think it was time, and that's one of the things I don't think they want to go for again. Another name, Nick, we've heard. I'm putting him out there just because we've heard it. I'm not saying he's a viable option. So anybody who's listening to this podcast, please do not think that I am saying this. Also, I don't think they should hire him, but I'm just going to put him out there, is John Gruden. He said he wants to coach in the SEC.
Oh, man.
He said he wants to coach in the SEC. He's, we talked to John Daly the other day. John Daly was like, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he'd be great here. He's my pick. And I'm like, I get that. But I have a lot of questions with him about how he could do. We all know this. Look at Bill Belichick right now. Look at Bill Belichick.
Oh,
we all know this.
That's failing over there.
Well, for a lot of reasons, but I think one of the biggest reasons, and we've seen this, Nick Saban is a good example as well, is you can be a good coach in high school, college, NFL, the pros. You can be a good coach in one of those leagues. Sometimes it just doesn't translate to the, and so that's where I worry. That's where I worry about John Gruden, is how I'm sure he would get the resources. I am sure he would get the funding. How is it going to translate? And so I'm sorry I went on a tangent there about all those different candidates and all those different people, but that's who you've got right now. And then Bobby P. You're looking at Bobby P too.
I mean, it's good to have options though, right? I mean, that's a lot of options right there.
Always. Very good.
I watched that SEC Netflix series, and it seemed like Sam Pittman was just like the nicest guy. And then his relationship with the secretary, or I forget who that lady was that he was working with closely. Yeah, it just seemed like a really good, he seemed like a really good guy. But I mean, I guess you don't really want like a super nice guy as a head coach, though.
Well, and that's the other thing too. And I hate to say this. I'm not trying to. This is no hate to Sam Pittman. This is just personally an opinion. And I would say this to my dad as well, who has been coaching for a very long time. And so I feel confident in saying this. When you watch that Netflix episode, I sat down, I watched that, and I went, oh, man, I think they need to move on from Sam. And here's why.
Yeah.
Because, yes, he's a nice guy, but you just went from Clark Lee, who's so passionate about the Vanderbilt Commodores that he's getting up at SEC Media Days and saying, we're going to win a national championship. We are going to win a championship. We are going to do that. And everyone's laughing at him.
From Vanderbilt, I don't think I've seen anybody more confident than Clark Lee and then Diego Pavia, who's just and everyone's laughing because they're like, who is this guy?
Listen, and so this, and we talk about, this is a great example. I didn't even think of this when we were talking about it. Clark Lee is a great example of what I was talking about a little bit earlier about people wanting an alum of the university to come in and feel the passion. Clark Lee is a great example of that. Was a Vanderbilt alum. So you've got a guy, right, that is very excited about being back at his alma mater and coaching in the SEC and believes he can do it, right? And believes he can make it happen. And we didn't buy in. I was there when he said that at SEC Media Days, and I laughed. I laughed when he said that a few years ago. And now
everybody's laughing, yeah.
But now I'm like, oh my gosh, this just goes to show what a good coach can do. And here's the thing. This is why watching that episode made me go, I think we need to move on from Sam, because you go from Sam going, well, when I get fired, it affects everybody in the office. And it affects, and he's like, I mean, he's already talking about like
Yeah,
being on the
he
hot
saw the
seat.
writing on the wall. Yeah.
Right, but he's talking about, and he's just talking about it in a sweet way, and that's who he is, right? That's who he is. He's a sweet man. But I need you to be passionate, Sam. I need you to be
I'm not
angry.
gonna get fired.
Yeah, I'm not, and then going out to the practice field, because when it flipped back to Clark Lee and him going cussing at the players and being like,
Yeah.
you play for effing Vanderbilt, you blah, 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 you play for that Commodore. I was like,
Yeah. You're like, whoa.
and so that's what I said. I was like, that was a poor episode to highlight Sam versus Clark Lee, because I was like, oh my gosh, give me Clark Lee all day long. Give me Clark Lee, because that kind of passion, that kind of excitement, that kind of energy is what Arkansas needs right now, very badly. Somebody to come in there and be like a Clark Lee, honestly. That's a really weird thing to say. And there's other coaches we can use as that example. I mean, to talk about an Arkansas comparison, Houston Nutt, when I hear that man speak, I mean, we need that energy again. Like, it's like, bring back the Houston Nutt energy of the program, where you're like, yeah, we're a fighting band of Razorbacks. Here we are. Like, it's like that kind of energy. And so Arkansas needed to change. Did we all know this was going to happen? Absolutely. So now it's just, who you going to go out and get, and is it going to be somebody the fan base it gets up for, wants to donate money for, wants to be really excited for?
The offseason should be very exciting in Fayetteville. When you've lived the SEC for mostly your entire life, you went to Florida, and you've covered Arkansas. This is, usually we were talking about Big 10 and Big 12 on here. So just for people that are tuning in that don't know a whole lot about the SEC, but just know the name brand and the championships from Alabama and Georgia and things like that, like paint a picture of just an SEC environment and what people would expect if they're going into it for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, well, you depending on where you go. I mean, again, I'm not saying like, every environment is different, right? I mean, when I went to games in the Swamp, I couldn't hear for days afterwards, right? When you're surrounded by 90,000 fans who are just absolutely screaming at the top of their lungs, who are, just, it's crazy. Like, you can hear it on the TV a little bit, but when you're in that environment, it's insane. And, even I had the joy of actually going to Mississippi State, last season when Arkansas was there, and I got to go see that environment, and Mississippi State was having a rough year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, but even with a rough year, that environment was still crazy with the Cowbells. And so I'm like, that was still crazy in a rough year, in a down year for Mississippi State. Fans are still showing up, making it a competitive atmosphere. Again, my ears were ringing after that game. I was like, oh my goodness, this is insane. So that environment, Death Valley at LSU, oh my gosh. You want to talk about a scary environment? Go there at night for a night game. That's Baton Rouge is terrifying. Baton Rouge, I think, might take the cake for.
Yeah.
I was scared, and I'm never scared on the sidelines.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, this is how we feel. And it was a night game, so it was more, it was more exciting, a little bit extra. But man, I was like, LSU is fun. It is fun for a night atmosphere. But you could say that about everything. Neyland Stadium, where the Hogs are traveling to this week, they are also a very competitive environment to play in. It's like you could go through every team in the SEC, and maybe Vanderbilt now is becoming that environment because of their success. I know that a friend of mine went to one of their games recently, and she was like, wait, when did Vanderbilt get good? She doesn't follow SEC football, because she was like, I thought this was going to be a chill environment. This is not. And so, so I think you could say that about every single team in the SEC now, that it's just like, whoa, this is a cool environment. I've been to South Carolina. I grew up a South Carolina fan because that's where my family's from. And so I would go over there to Columbia and that environment is also very fun. Where they just literally are just go crazy on kickoffs, the lights and the excitement, and when they play the Sandstorm, it's just crazy. It's just like you're like, what is happening? So for people that don't understand, go see an SEC game because it's really, really fun and they're really good environments. I'm not saying that they're better than any other. I'm not saying that. I'm not, because there are some crazy environments in college football, and I absolutely like. I want to go see it. Like there's some that I have bucket lists on. Like I've never been to Ohio State. Want to go there. Never been to Penn State. Like I want to go to Penn State where they do the whiteout, and I just want to go experience that atmosphere. So I'm not saying I don't have those to compare it to, y'all. So don't come at me. But SEC game, if you haven't been to one, go to one, because the atmosphere is you just get excited even if you're not a fan of either team. You'll just enjoy the game and the atmosphere.
As a Kansas fan, we weren't upset, like, because I went to Kansas, like, so a lot of my friends were not upset at all when Texas and Oklahoma left the Big 12, because when I went to Kansas, like, we barely won we lost to like Southeast Missouri State or something like that, like something like 3 wins or 4 wins my whole time there. And now that we're like a football program, we're not, we're happy that Texas and Oklahoma aren't there anymore. What have those 2 schools added to the SEC?
Well, a lot more competition, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not just in football. Like we want to talk about, yes, they add competition in football, but they add competition in every single sport, which is also like, that's another thing that you have to add. Like talk about softball. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You just added 2 powerhouses.
Oklahoma wins that thing every year.
I know. And Texas is right there with them. I mean, goodness gracious. So it's like, again, you just added so much more talent to an already loaded league, right? An already talented league. And now you've just thrown in two programs that also have very, very talented sports across the board. And so that's what I think you get when you've added Texas and Oklahoma, is now you've just made it a gauntlet, not to mention they're going to a 9-game schedule. So that's another added factor into it. You're like, oh my gosh, now we have to play these teams more in a year. So it's very fun though for people that haven't gotten to experience. Like for Arkansas fans, I'm gonna relate it back to Arkansas. Arkansas was a big rival of Texas in the old Southwest Conference, right? And so when when that was at its heyday, Arkansas and Texas were like, they hated each other. And so they got away from that, leaving the Southwest Conference and going their respective ways. But now that they're back in the league, it kind of renews the rivalry. And so you'll notice that Texas is one of those, pod opponents for Arkansas for a reason, because that game is always fun. Even if Texas is better than you, even if, however you feel about each program, like that game is going to be fun coming up here at, closer to the end of the season. That game is going to be one that Arkansas fans are going to show up for. Texas fans are going to show up for, because it's a rivalry renewed. And so I think that's really the most exciting thing about it. If you don't want to talk about how much competition it adds, it allows fans to go, oh, all of these rivalries now get renewed. I would like to see Arkansas start up a rivalry with Oklahoma, with how close they are. Like the 2 schools are very close. So it's like, why has this never been a rivalry? Because it would be so exciting to see that just based on location get started. So that's kind of what it does.
Yeah, I respect the SEC because the schools that they added are like more geographical. Because like you look at the Big 10, it's like coast to coast, ACC coast to coast. Like doesn't make any sense. Big 12, I mean, they added BYU, Utah, Arizona State, Central Florida. It's like all over the place, like just craziness. So I respect the SEC because, like you said, it could start new rivalries, border states, things like that. Makes for better environments.
Yeah. And like you said, like I think at some point, and this is just big picture, right? This
Mhm.
is just big picture. I really think that you're just gonna get like two super conferences
Yeah,
is what
I
it's gonna
agree. I
be.
agree.
And I hate to say that,
Yeah.
but then it's gonna be all over the country. You have these two super because you're already seeing teams in the ACC be like, ooh, SEC, would you like to add Florida State? Would you like
Mhm.
to add Clemson? Would you like,
Mhm.
and so it's kind of one of those things where I just think at the end of the day, you're going to get these two super conferences. And, whatever happens, however you want to do games within the two super conferences, and then it'll kind of everybody else will be in the conversation, but not,
Mhm.
it's almost like relegating when it comes to soccer, right?
Yes,
Like
yes.
you have your super conferences and they'll be like, this team didn't do so well. So we're going to put them out and put them down here and add another team in these two. That's where I think it's heading. I hate to say that,
Mhm.
but I really, really do believe that like at very soon in the future, you're not going to get, because how sustainable
Mhm.
is this? Oh, you have a team flying all the way from this part of the country to this part of the country and this and this and this. You're just going to have the country split down the middle and then two super conferences is what
It's
it'll
like
be or
it'll be like the
something like that.
NFL. You got the 2 divisions, the
Yeah.
NFL. Yeah, it's gonna be like that, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, but right, like that's how I feel like it'll be, and you can split it up in those super divisions, in those super conferences, in those two divisions by East and West, and
Mhm.
like you can do that, but I think that's where it's heading. I hate to say that because I know some people are like, no, that's crazy, and
Yeah, no,
I
but it's gonna
I
happen
just
though.
it's gonna. I mean, that's where it's heading. Read the writing
Yeah,
on the wall. Unless
yeah,
something changes, this is how it's
yeah.
gonna be. So,
Yeah, it's gonna be a craziness, but we're here for it. Uh, with your new position, like I remember like being a sports director at my old job, like obviously it comes with more responsibilities. You're anchoring during the week. You're setting up stories for other people, helping stuff with other stories. So what's been the biggest challenge for you? What have you learned the most so far?
I honestly, because I've been a sports director honestly for most of
Mhm.
my career, which is really I love saying that. So I'm very
Yeah, that's
happy that I got to do
yeah.
that. I was even an assistant sports director when I was with Pig Trail Nation over in Fayetteville. And so I had a lot of responsibilities there. I basically was doing a lot of the job, and
Mhm.
still getting to do all those things that you just mentioned, right? Managing people, doing that, doing scheduling, giving story ideas, all of that. I think the biggest challenge for me is not about the role. It's more about just stepping into, okay, well, I was doing hyper Razorbacks, right? There
Mhm.
was nothing else we covered. We just covered Razorbacks. And so now I've gotten a chance to broaden my horizons. But when it comes with broadening your horizons, right, you also have a learning curve there of
Mhm.
like, okay, wait a second. Who coaches this team? What did this team do? What did this team do? What did this like? I have had to kind of figure things out as I've gone because, you know, no matter where you do this or anything, no one's going to be an expert on absolutely everything. Like you'll keep up with different things, and stuff. But I've said to people, I'm like, listen, I love you. I watch the NFL in my spare time. I watch the NBA in my spare time. I watch the MLB, but you probably know way more than that because I'm hyper focused on
Mhm.
college football, college basketball, this. And so it's funny to like broaden my horizons a little bit and kind of get to go, okay, so how is A State doing in the Sun Belt? What's the Sun Belt doing? Now what's this conference doing? Like it's kind of fun to tap back into that. We have much more of a worldly view now rather than, oh my gosh, the Razorbacks, Razorbacks, Razorbacks. I
Mhm.
felt like I was so in the SEC that sometimes it was hard for me to go, wait a second. Wait, what are they doing in the Sun Belt? What are they doing over there? Like what's happening, in this conference over here? What's happening in this? Or even the Big 10 and Big 12. Like sometimes I
Mhm.
would be like, "Oh wait, what happened over there?" Like I need to watch that game, but I was so locked into like SEC, 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 Arkansas, Arkansas, Arkansas. This is where we are. So now I get a chance to really broaden my horizons with it all, which is really nice.
Expanding knowledge, what we like to say. There you
Yes,
go.
you're always learning, so
Yes.
never stop learning.
What's helped you take that, I guess, more back seat and kind of looking at it from a further approach and then diving into new teams? What's helped you with, prepping and the knowledge base?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, and this is, I tell everybody who starts out in this business, it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to talk to coaches. Like,
Mhm.
it's okay for me to call up a high school coach and go, I am new here. What do
Mhm.
I need to know about your program? What do I need to know about where you are? I mean, I've enjoyed getting to chat with coaches that are like, yeah, we'll tell you exactly the history of our program and why this person and why we're coaching here. And that to me, I've really, really enjoyed just kind of standing back and going, okay, I'm new. Treat me like I don't know anything. Even if I do know something, just treat me like I don't. Because I want to, that way you can go, oh, wait, I didn't know that. I didn't know that that's where you had that connection. And so for me, that's the biggest thing is being able to ask those questions and not being afraid of sounding dumb, right? I mean,
Mhm.
no one's going to hate on you when you go, I want to learn, teach me this, right? I want to learn, like, what do you got going on over here? What's important? Like, there were some JUCO programs that I brought in, a couple of them, and I said, what do I need to know about your program? What? Because treat
Mhm.
me like I'm dumb. I used to cover JUCO programs at my last stop, but that was in Florida. Tell me what I need to know about Arkansas JUCO programs. And so it's been really, really nice to just kind of make those connections, chat with people, and just really, really just kind of go, hey, thanks. Thanks for letting me in. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to allow you to teach me, because at the end of the day, I'm new. I gotta
Mhm.
learn, right? And so that's really helped me. Also, like, Google is your friend, research is your friend, you
Yeah.
know, research things, before you go to like before you go to a place, obviously research it, let educate yourself, you know. I was talking to people here about the station, how my knowledge of um a lot of HBCUs do these like big events where they'll do big games and they'll do events surrounding these games. And I was like, hey, I don't know about this. Like, I don't know how big of a deal this is. So tell me
Mhm.
how big of a deal this is. Let me learn. Because that way, then I can accurately report on it and say, look, this is exactly what I learned from talking to these people. So that's just an example of something that we did. But yeah, it's talk to people,
Yeah,
ask the
that's
questions.
yeah. Not a lot of people want to do that. They're like afraid to talk to people. I don't know why, but I mean, we're in the business where we're talking about sports, so why not we just talk to other people? It's not
Yeah,
that hard.
yeah, yeah. It is okay to admit that you don't know something. I
Mhm.
find that a lot with people where it's like it is okay to admit you don't know something. Not all If all of us knew everything, we should go to the government and they should study us. Because put us in a lab, study us.
Like I said, KU fan, KU alum, and Arkansas has crushed our hopes and dreams in men's basketball in the NCAA tournament the last couple of years, even when Musselman was there. But last year it was to go to the Sweet 16 with Calipari, and that was in his first year. And I'm like, Arkansas wasn't even that good. Like, how did they even like figure this out? Like, so I was upset, and I know a lot of my KU friends were upset. How has Calipari's aura, to use like a Gen Z word, how is his aura just taken over this program and like turned it around like that in 1 year?
Well, it's not the aura. It's I'm going to say this. It's because he's a dang good coach, okay? There is a reason he is a Hall of Fame coach. I got to say that slow for people because they're like, "How did he do this?" And I'm like, "You realize this is Coach Calipari we're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, you realize this is Coach Calipari, and we want to ask why he's done it. He is a good coach. He has good coaches surrounding him. He always has a good staff, and I don't care what Kentucky fans say about him. I get it. They were ready for a change, and that's okay. But thank you for bringing him to Arkansas, because I really do believe people love him here. He has been treated so well. He loves the place here, and yes, there is an aura that comes with that. There's an aura of like, yeah, I am the best recruiter in the nation. What about it? But what about it? There's no one that can top him when it comes to he is just his name alone. Kids want to play for him. And so that to me alone is a reason why you're like, yes, that's why we have him, because you have kids going, I want to play for Coach Cal. Would they come to Arkansas if they didn't have Coach Cal? No, they wouldn't come to Arkansas. But they're like, it's Coach Cal. He's there. And so that's what he brings to your program. And man, you know, I'm sorry that you're a Kansas alum, and I'm sorry that, you know, you probably should be called Kansaw now.
Oh,
like that's
wow. I don't like that. I don't like how that sounds.
Well, you know, it's Arkansas, so you probably should be called.
I mean, it's just Kansas with an AR in front of it. We do know that too.
You know, but it's not Arkansas.
Yes,
it's Arkansas. So you should be Kansas, because you know.
Okay,
that's we'll leave it up to debate for people watching there, but I think with Coach Cal just being here, I mean, it just adds we talk about energy. We talk about rejuvenating a program, and not like the program needed rejuvenating. Eric Musselman did amazing things here. Eric Musselman just wanted to leave because USC, that's one of his dream jobs. Like, he's from that area. He's from California. And for him, his wife, his kids to be back there, that was a no-brainer, right? So it's not that Arkansas wasn't a good place for him. It's just, you've got to understand, people got to do what they got to do. And so that was a good move for him. But obviously, this is a great move for Arkansas, getting Coach Cal to come in. Thank you, Mr. Tyson, for the chicken man money.
There you go. Yeah,
that helps when you got the chicken man. So.
Yeah. And people thought, Coach Cal was done when he left Kentucky. Like, where's he gonna go? And like, people are starting to, like, you're talking about, like, just the name recognition. Like, people at KU, like with Bill Self, they're like, oh man, like, he hasn't had a couple successful years with NIL, and then here we are. He gets like 5-star recruits the next 2 recruiting classes, and now you're like, okay, Bill's not done. Like, because everyone's like, oh man, he's gonna retire. Like, who we, but here we are. So Coach Cal, same impact, same type of name recognition around it, and that was cool too. That Providence region was like Self, Patino, Calipari, like, that's just like big time names just all in one place. It's like, where do you not want to be? Why would you not want to be there?
Yeah, I mean, they did a really smart thing by putting those coaches in that region, because they said, oh yeah, we're gonna have some good spicy matchups between literally some of the best college basketball coaches in the nation, right? And I think you can argue that all 3 of those are literally the cream of the crop, right? I mean, Bill Self is just, his resume speaks for itself, but get it? But Bill Self, great coach, and a great recruiter as well. I mean, my dad's been in college basketball for a really long time and knows a lot of these coaches personally, and he loves, when there's a great coach and you know it and he knows it, and he's like, he always makes sure, he's like, oh my gosh, Bill Self, man, he knows how to coach, he knows what he's doing, he knows how to run a program. So Kansas fans, I would hold on to him as long as you can. Don't be like Kentucky, Kansas, okay? Do not push Coach Self out of there. Do not do it. Let him retire on his own accord.
He has a lifetime contract, so I think he's good.
But at the end of the day, you saw with Calipari, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people who never thought Calipari would leave Kentucky and go to a different program, and the fans are like getting unruly and we want him gone, and 2012, that was years ago, you can't even make it past the first round of the tournament, whatever it is. And so that's where I feel like, and he can say whatever he wants, this is my personal opinion, he was pushed out. He didn't want to be a place or nobody wanted him. Come to Arkansas. We're worshiping the guy. It's like, he's excited to be here. The fans are excited to have him. Why would you not want to coach in that environment? So
100%.
So I'm saying to Kansas fans, don't push him out now. He might have a lifetime contract, but don't push him out.
Hey, when he gets 5-star recruits, I think everyone's back on the bandwagon now, so we're good there. You also talked about, community asking questions, things like that. This profession could be a grind sometimes. There's a lot of lows, but also a lot of highs. So just being able to immerse yourself in the community, how has that helped you from the mental aspect of things in your job?
Yeah, I think it's just nice to have a sense of belonging, right? And I say to people all the time, I was born in England. I moved around a lot. I moved to Texas, then to Florida. Grew up in Florida, right, for most, a good portion of my life, most of my life. And a lot of people are like, "Well, you're just a Floridian." And I don't think that anymore. I really truly believe I'm an Arkansan. I'd like to stay here for the rest of my life. And I've told people that. I'm like, I bought a house here. We're trying to immerse ourselves in the community. I want to be here. I love the people here. I love the state. I love who I'm surrounded with. And so to me, it makes it a lot easier to do what I do because I get up on air and I feel like I'm talking to my friends.
Mhm.
I feel like I know I'm talking to a camera, but I know the viewers when we talk, I'm like, you guys are my friends. I treat you more like my friends than I do your viewers, and you're just watching us. So I think what it does is help me just every day come into work and go, I'm excited to bring people the news, right? I'm
Mhm.
excited to talk to people about sports today, and I'm excited to be here and get to do what I love every single day and that people accept it, right? Because it's one thing to go into a job and get to do what you love, but everybody hates you, right? It's why I understand Cal so much and the
Mhm.
decision he made. I wouldn't want to go to a work where everybody hates me either. So, um, but it's like that's that sense of community, that sense of belonging. I really thank Arkansas for taking me in because they really there's a sense of people here that like if you aren't from Arkansas, we're not going to listen to you. Or if you're not from Arkansas, then why are you talking about our program like that?
Mhm.
And so I feel like when I first got here, I was like, I'm going to prove to people I love this place. And honestly, I had no idea how much, like, I didn't have to prove I love this place at all. Um, but I felt like I did, and they just accepted me with open arms. And now that's why I call myself an Arkansan. I'm like, listen, I tell people all the time, I graduated from Florida. I might be a converted Razorback though, because I absolutely love the university, the people who have treated me with kindness here, and the people in this state. Because it truly, if you haven't been to Arkansas, it is one of a kind. So
I see the fan love out there on social media for you. I see it.
there,
People
but that's
people
what
love
that
you.
that's but that's why I do what I do.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
literally, and I hope somebody like watches this. I hope people get to the end of the show and watch this because I am so 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 I can't say it enough grateful for the people in this state because I was a girl who was terrified to leave Florida,
Mhm.
and leave everything that she kind of knew. And I didn't like living in Texas very much. I'm really sorry, Texas fans, but not really.
It's
But I
okay.
hated living in Texas. And so I got scared. I was like, people had told me, they were like, well, Arkansas is like close to Texas. So it's kind of like Texas. Those people were wrong. It is not. It's a great state with great people, with great atmospheres, with just I've been so blessed to come to Arkansas, and I'm really proud to call myself an Arkansan right now. I mean I am, and I really hope, you know, people always laugh and they're like, "Will you stay here?" And I go, "Yeah, unless like ESPN calls me or
Yeah, well, then
something."
you
Or
have to go, right?
well,
I
then you
mean,
have to go, right? But
yeah, yeah,
I even told people, I said, "Look, I know some ESPN talent doesn't live in Connecticut, right, or doesn't live
yeah,
in Bristol." I'm like, that would be me. I'd be like, I will sign your contract. I will take less money if I can still live in Arkansas.
yeah. There you go.
So I told people that. I was like, I'm going to try so badly to stay here in Arkansas because I genuinely, that's how much I love it. Genuinely. So,
And I know what keeps you going because I've seen it on social media too. Is your love for Taylor Swift? I know. I had to bring it up because just look at your reaction. I mean, if you're watching on YouTube, look at your reaction. I mean, I love the old, I'll be honest, I love the old Taylor Swift. Like, give me the dark jeans, Nike, dive bar, East Side, where you at? That's
Yeah,
my kind of
okay.
Taylor Swift. But
That's not even an old Taylor Swift
yeah,
though, is
but
it?
I
That's
don't know.
like
I can't buy in to the new Taylor Swift. So you have to sell me here. I just want to have you sell me real quick.
well, but what is the because you're talking about Reputation. So you quoted a Reputation lyric
Yeah.
right there, and that's not even old Taylor Swift. Like old Taylor Swift, when I think of old Taylor Swift, because I'm an OG Swiftie, I think of debut album, I think of Tim McGraw, I think of Our Song. I think of those old like Mary's song. Oh my. Like I think of that. For the deep cut people out there, one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs is Mary's Song. Go listen to it. If you like old country music, you'll like that song. But I think like Reputation is still very much this Taylor Swift, because if you remember before Reputation, she had a song in that called Look What You Made Me Do. And she was like, the old Taylor can't come to the phone right now. Why? Because she's dead. So
I
she
like that one. That's a good one too.
right. Right. So she like revamped a little bit because a lot of people had thought a certain way of her. And she just kind of said, you know what? I don't care what anyone else thinks of me. And so this is why I think if you're not a Taylor Swift fan, at least give some of the songs on this album a try. Opalite is a banger. You guys will love that. Anybody listening to this will love that song, I promise. It's such a good song. But the new Taylor, I think, is my favorite version. Like this era, this person that she is because she is finally all those people who make fun of, oh, she only writes about breakups, she only writes about this, she only writes about sadness, yeah. All those other albums had sad songs on them, right? All those other albums. And this album, I'm telling you guys, is all happy music, is all her saying, I am in love, I am happy to be married, that she just wants a white picket fence and kids with Travis Kelce. Like, who is not gonna like that? Like, oh, I hate love. I'm so horrible that I don't want her to get married. No, give me a break. We all love love, right? And so she is completely and utterly happy. And I, as a person, as just a human being, take the Taylor Swift fandom aside, I love seeing other human beings happy. I love seeing other human beings say, I have found a person that makes me feel really good about myself.
You love love.
And
yeah.
Right. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, who doesn't love love? Get out of here. If you're watching this show and you don't love love, stop watching. It's terrible. Everybody loves love. And so I think that to me makes me so happy. I listen to this album and I have a smile on my face the whole time I do it. Because I go, for once, I feel like I'm listening to a friend tell me, I found the guy of my dreams. Don't worry about me. I'm happy. And that to me just makes me really, really happy. So if you don't like her right now, I'd say give her a shot on some of the songs. Don't listen to the whole album, because if you don't like her right now, you won't like the whole album. I get that, but listen to some songs. I mean, Opalite is a beautiful song, all about taking chances, right? All about saying the sky, sometimes you have to okay, opalite is a jewel, right? A jewel or stone that is man-made, right? It's opal is what is found naturally, but opalite is man-made. And so she's saying in the song that sometimes it's okay to man-make your happiness, right? Sometimes you're not going to find happiness just out in the wild. Sometimes it has to come from within. Sometimes you yourself have to make it. Well,
that's
but
deep.
how can you tell me you haven't experienced that before?
That's deep though. Dang, that's okay. That is another level of Taylor Swift. Okay, all right.
I'm just saying, give it a listen. That's one of the best songs on the album by far. Fate of Ophelia is great too. If you like a lot of lore, if you don't know Ophelia in history books or a thing, and I'm pretty sure Ophelia, and people could correct me if I'm wrong, there's like, Ophelia is in, Shakespeare and everything, that she drowns herself, right? And she kills herself over lost love, right?
Yeah, this is really deep. This is very, very deep.
I'm just saying, this is where the lore comes from. And so the fate of Ophelia is she's saying, I found my person who saved me from the fate of Ophelia. I don't need to drown myself in a bathtub or drown myself in a lake because I haven't found the person who I love and cares about me. And so then, everybody can relate to that, right? Sometimes that, maybe not, maybe you don't want to drown yourself in a bathtub. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. If you're listening to this and that's you, we need to talk. Let's get you some help.
Where can people follow you? Like where can people see your love for Taylor Swift, Arkansas State, Little Rock stuff, Razorback stuff? Where can everybody see?
Yeah. Follow me. I always say to people, follow me on Twitter. That's the best place you're gonna get my content from is on Twitter over @MimsCourtney. I guess I should say X. Do the cool
It's
kids
okay.
say
We can
X?
say Twitter. We can say Twitter.
Okay, I am still a huge Twitter person, so I'm just like, I mean,
you have it. I mean, you're the person that has it. Let me guess, like open all day, and you're constantly scrolling, and
yes, and like I can't. I'm such a weird person where if somebody rebrands something, I still call it by the old name.
Yes.
So I cannot get used to it being the new name. So X for you cool kids out there, but Twitter for you other cool kids out there like me. That's where you can follow me @MimsCourtney over there. I have a Facebook page too, but I'm not as active over there. So if you want to follow me over my Facebook page, you'll just get like zinger sound bites from everything. That's all I put over there, and personal stuff as well. I'm getting married in May, so I'll probably post a lot of pictures and stuff from the wedding and everything. But yes, follow me over on Twitter. That's the best place to go follow me. And give me a follow, send me a message. Let me know how you feel about things, how you feel about Taylor Swift, how you feel about Arkansas, how you feel about anything. I will probably message you back.
Hopefully these Kansas fans don't get into your DMs and say anything,
I actually welcome it. I welcome it because I think it's kind of fun. And I love poking fun at things. I mean, if you're a sports fan and you can't have a little fun with stuff, like on air one time I did like a horns down. I was
I'm with that. I'm with that. I'll do that with you all day.
Exactly. And so I was like, I love having fun with people. If people can't laugh about that, then y'all should not be watching sports. Like if you are too sensitive about that, sports is not the place for you, sweetheart. It's not that serious. We have fun. It's called entertainment for a reason. So have some fun with it. So I welcome the discourse. I will have fun with you. So
all right. If anybody gets in those DMs, let me know.
I'll post it. I will post it.
Right.
I'll let him know. Sometimes I'm a little sassy, so don't hate me.
I'll let him know. Courtney's sassy. She'll come back at you.
Yeah.
Courtney, I appreciate you making the time and covered a lot of different topics. I had a lot of fun, so appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate coming on. Thanks. Let's try and do it again. If Arkansas hires a coach and basketball season gets crazy.
Hey, if Kansas beats Arkansas, I'm bringing you on.
Yeah, you kind of have to. I kind of have to go. I'm sorry to all Kansas fans.
Yes.
It's not called Kansas anymore. I'll stop saying that. It's Kansas. Fine.
Yes. Okay. Well, until that moment, I appreciate everyone for listening, and we'll see you next week on the next episode. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment. Have a great week, everybody.